Beneath the ordinary world lies a veil, and behind it, the voices of the lost still whisper.
We are your guides into the shadows, where true crime meets the paranormal.
From chilling crimes to haunted histories, we uncover the stories that refuse to rest.
This is Veil of Echoes.
It starts with a voice you can barely hear. A plea, a promise. Then, a man answers. Steady, rehearsed, comforting. Until you realize his calm was the cruelest part. He didn't hunt for the rush. He hunted for the replay. Every scream, every tear, cataloged, numbered, labeled, trophies that couldn't decay. He wanted them to last forever. To his neighbors, he was polite and quiet, just another face in the cul-de-sac. But behind his front door was a room that never saw daylight, where the air smelled of dust, sweat, and fear, where mercy was turned into a monologue for the camera. He once said he wanted to be remembered, and he is, but not for who he was, for what he kept, for what he recorded, for what he took. This isn't just a story about a killer. It's about the women whose names were lost beneath the hum of a machine, and how their silence became the only evidence of their existence. Maury Travis, the man who filmed his own darkness.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Veil of Echoes.
We're your host. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Bria. Each week we walk the line between truth and terror, uncovering the stories that hide in plain sight and the people the world try to forget.
Tonight's story takes us to St. Louis, Missouri, a quiet suburb that held a secret no one wanted to believe. It's the story of a man who blended in, and the women who vanished around him. Women whose names were erased by fear, poverty, addiction, until their silence became the only thing left.
He was the kind of killer the world expected. No headlines, no theatrics, just a man who used a camera to trap people in their final moments and turn their suffering into a private performance.
This is the story of Maury Travis, a man who built a prison inside his own home and filmed the ghosts he created there. To the police, he would become known by another name, the Street Walker Strangler, a title born from the women he targeted in the streets that became their graves.
Before we begin, a warning. This episode contains discussions of kidnapping, torture, and murder. Some descriptions may be disturbing to listeners. We tell these stories not to glorify their horror, but to remember the lives that were taken and the voices that were silenced.
And if you've been walking beside us through this journey, you know how much your support means. Every follow, review, and share helps keep our lantern burning. Follow Veil of Echoes podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook for behind-the-scenes moments, haunting visuals, and early glimpses of what's waiting in the dark.
Your support keeps the light on, even in places where the world once looked away.
Before the tapes, before the headlines, before the world knew his name, there is just Maury Travis. He was born on October 25th, 1965, in St. Louis, Missouri. An only child in a modest home on the streets of Ferguson. His parents, Michael and Sandra Travis, worked hard and expected the same from him. They gave him structure, faith, routine, and for a while, it seemed enough.
Teachers described him as bright, even gifted. He learned quickly, spoke softly, and carried himself with a politeness that felt practiced. He could charm his way out of trouble, talk circles around adults, but behind that charm was distance. He smiled easily, but his eyes never followed.
In high school, that distance grew wider. He wasn't the loner type. He had friends, went to parties, laughed when it was expected, but something about him didn't quite fit. He blended in by mimicking what he thought normal looked like, a mask he learned to wear better than anyone else.
After graduating McClure High School in 1983, he left Missouri for Morris Brown College in Atlanta. A fresh start, new city, new people, a chance to become whoever he wanted. But by his second year, things began to unravel. He struggled with grades and money, and began to lie. About his background, his success, even his family. It wasn't about survival, it was about control. He discovered how easy it was to manipulate people, to make them trust him, and to make them need him.
He dropped out of college and came back to St. Louis. For a while, it looked like life might straighten out. He worked as a hotel waiter, a restaurant server, well-dressed, well-mannered, always polite. Coworkers said he was dependable, quiet, the kind of man you could trust with a set of keys.
But that calm surface was starting to crack. In 1988, Maury Travis was arrested for robbery and kidnapping, a crime that hinted at what was waiting beneath the mask. He served almost 5 years in prison, and inside those walls, something changed. He didn't come out reformed, he came out refined, more calculated, better at hiding what he was.
When he returned home, he moved back into that same neighborhood in Ferguson. Same polite smile, same neat lawn, but now he kept to himself more. He began keeping journals, sketches, designs for something he wouldn't show anyone.
Neighbors said he was friendly but distant, the kind of man who waved from his driveway, but never stayed to talk. He wasn't strange, just forgettable, and that made him invisible.
Above ground, he smiled for his neighbors. Below ground, he built a kingdom of silence, a place where he decided who spoke, who begged, who lived, and who didn't.
It would be years before anyone knew what was happening behind that door on Ford Drive. But the pattern had already begun. Women were disappearing, one by one, and the man responsible was smiling the whole time.
So everyone wears a mask to get through the world. But when does pretending become who you really are? And how long can you keep smiling before that mask starts to crack?
Well, I mean, he was learning how to become a good manipulator, just like all the others, you know? So he knew how to play the part on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
But then, like all the rest, the dumbass got caught.
Yeah, I don't get what they think they're... I mean, besides, like, the Zodiac, who literally... I mean, they say they know who it was, but they never...
Well, he got away with it for a while, though.
Yeah.
Just like the Jack the Ripper and... Well, I mean, Ed Kemper kind of turned himself in. I wonder if he never called. Well, that probably would have, because his mom and her friend died, so that would have put two and two together. Like, where's Ed?
Yeah, where's Ed? Well, and what he did to his mother's head, but.
I just keep thinking about the garbage disposal. That's fucked up. He's like, of course she had to get the last word. And I'm like, you're messed up. But yeah, I don't know. He knew how to play it on the outside well, it seems like.
Yeah, he did it pretty good.
He just had really dark, twisted fantasies.
Yeah. This was, no. Mm-mm.
Between 2000 and 2002, women began to vanish across St. Louis. One from a bus stop, another from a motel parking lot, another from a road no one drove after dark. Each case brushed aside, a runaway, a relapse, a fight. But they weren't missing. They were gone.
Most were women living close to the edge, fighting poverty, addiction, homelessness. They weren't nameless. They were Mary, Teresa, and Yvette, and one still without a name. They called her Una, because even without a name, she deserved to be remembered.
Police later found Travis had filmed many of their final moments, dozens of tapes, each cataloged and labeled. You can hear his voice, calm, precise, and directing. He wasn't chasing rage. He was preserving power.
When investigators pressed play, they saw ritual, not chaos. The camera opened with small talk, a cigarette, a ride. And then his tone changed. He bound them, he humiliated them. He forced them to repeat words until their voices cracked. He sexually assaulted many of the women on those tapes. Each recording ended the same way. The camera lingering on the empty chair, as if the absence itself was the souvenir he wanted most.
Detectives said watching those tapes felt like watching evil pretend to be ordinary. It wasn't rage, it was control. He wanted the fear to last longer than the victims did.
Mary Shields was found first, 61, a grandmother with a laugh that could break tension, found near a cemetery. Then came Teresa Wilson, 36, a daughter rebuilding her life. She told her mother she would be home Sunday. Sunday never came.
Travis read about her in the paper, cut the article out, and wrote to St. Louis Post-Dispatch. He told them he could show them where another woman lay. He drew a map, an X, and mailed it himself.
That map led to another woman, young, left off of Highway 67. No ID, just silence. Investigators called her Una, for unknown. For 20 years, her file stayed that way.
But in 2025, a team from Southern Illinois University of Edwardsville and Illinois State Police identified 3 of Travis's lost victims: Patricia Young, Danielle Smith, and Cheryl Barnett. They believe Una may soon have her name returned too. Even now, people are still working to bring these women home, proof that justice can arrive years later, but still finds its way.
By the time the police connected the dots, Travis had already moved on. To him, they weren't people. They were evidence he existed.
At least a dozen women disappeared, some still unnamed, but their echoes lived inside that basement, in every tape, every mark, every whisper left behind. It's up to the rest of us to tell them differently. So when someone disappears, how long before the world stops looking? And what does it say about us, when the only person keeping record of their last moments was the one who took them?
You know, that's a good question.
I mean, you're not going to know. I mean, nowadays, there's cameras everywhere in houses and stuff, but back then, I guess, like, you'll just tell someone, oh, I'm going over here, but you didn't have a cell phone or anything really, you know, to tell people, like.
That's pretty fucked up.
Nicholas, what year was this?
2000 to 2002. So, like, cell phones, like, the first cell phones were out, but, like, not everyone had one.
Yeah.
In May of 2002, a plain white envelope appeared at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. No return address, no fingerprints, just a single page and a printed map. The letter opened like a teacher correcting a paper. You had part of it right, it read, but not all of it.
He wasn't confessing. He was bragging. Paragraph by paragraph, he mocked the article the paper had printed about these missing women. He hinted there were more bodies, that reporters had barely scratched the surface. At the bottom, he drew a line through a highway map, an X marking a remote stretch of road. If you want proof, he wrote, look here.
Detectives later said the tone was calm, almost smug. No anger, no urgency, just superiority, as if he were instructing them, reminding the world that he was in charge of the story.
Editors called the police, and investigators followed the coordinates. There, just off Highway 67, they found another woman, the one we now call Una. Her discovery turned that letter from mockery into evidence.
Every printer request leaves a trace. The digital trail led back to one internet account, registered to Maury Travis. In trying to show the world how clever he was, he signed his own name and data. He bragged about taking lives to prove he was smarter than everyone else, but it all proved he was cowardice. What does justice look like when the killer takes the easy way out and leaves the victims to carry the weight alone?
Piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, straight up human garbage trash.
I know. I mean, because he takes his life, for one, so you're a coward.
Well, at this point where we're at, it seems like he was not only mocking the BTK killer, but Jack the Ripper. He was taking streetwalkers, and then he was sending evidence to police himself, trying to get them to track him, but not to be caught, to be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
That's psychotic.
Yeah, he wanted to be known.
Yeah, he wanted to go down in history.
And now he'll never be forgotten for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, unfortunately.
Stupid prick.
Yeah, he is. It's awful. Because I think they said they don't even exactly know how many.
Well,
It's 12
supposedly
to 20, they think. But
there was talks, too, that he apparently took some of them to the limp.
yeah, that's what. Yeah.
I don't know how true that ever actually was, but
Like, he dumped their bodies there? Or
I think he would, like, actually take them there and try to sexually assault them there.
Oh. I don't know, he's fucked up, probably.
But I don't think that's ever been actually
just
proven.
Rumors that swirl around, yeah. Well, who knows? And he did pick him up on the streets. He could have took him somewhere and then took him to his house.
Mm-hmm.
June 7th, 2002, Ferguson, Missouri. Detectives from the St. Louis Major Case Squad gather outside a modest beige house on Ford Drive. From the sidewalk, it looks like every other home. Trimmed lawn, wind chimes, a mailbox with neat black lettering, Travis. Inside, they're hoping to find a man who sent a letter. But what they find instead is a museum of human suffering.
They entered quietly. 2 lead investigators first, then a crime scene tech with a camera. The air inside was still, heavy, and stale. Everything was spotless. Too spotless. A couch angled towards a silent TV, a folded newspaper on the table. The smell of bleach clung to the air like a warning.
They moved through each room slowly. Living room, kitchen, hallway. Nothing out of place. Then they opened the basement door. The temperature dropped. The hum of a single fluorescent light echoed up the stairs, buzzing like it didn't want them to come down.
What they saw didn't make sense at first. A single metal chair bolted to the floor. Ropes, cords, a camera tripod still aimed at the empty seat. A shelf lined with neatly labeled videotapes. Beside it, a handwritten note that read, "To whom it may concern."
"17 hours of footage, each tape marked in his handwriting. They contained the horrors he'd filmed. Mocking interrogations, assaults, and killings. He forced his victims to repeat words until he liked the sound of their fear. He was calm, polite, like he was directing a play only he understood."
Officers said it was one of the coldest scenes they'd ever walked into. Not because of what they saw, but because of what they didn't. No blood, no signs of struggle, just order. As if he cleaned every inch to hide what the camera had already confessed.
And I read somewhere, I don't know, it's one of the articles I read, but like he would paint over the blood every time, like every victim he would paint over it.
Yeah, that makes sense though. Cover up the evidence.
Yeah. In a back room, detectives found women's clothing, shoes, and jewelry, organized in bins, souvenirs cataloged with precision. He'd kept everything. He wanted it neat, controlled, permanent. It was less a crime scene than a shrine to dominance.
When they confronted him later that evening, Maury Travis was calm. He'd asked if they'd been inside his home. When they said yes, he smiled faintly and whispered, "Then you already know."
What the fuck? Fucking
What the hell is wrong with
psychopath.
fucking people, man?
I know.
This is people that are true psychos. Anybody who does it out of rage, that's not acceptable. But when it's planned, plotted, wrote down,
And it's
kept
like
as
he-
memorial, that's a nut job.
Gets an
Very sad.
orgasm when they told him they found, I don't know.
He's one
Wait,
person
what?
that should have just opened up right
No,
there.
I just said it seems like he got an.
Well, he sexually
turned on
assaulted
when
him,
they-
so
Oh,
I'm
that's
pretty
why I was
sure.
like, wait, did he actually?
No.
It didn't
he
say
might have.
anything about him sleeping
mean-
with dead bodies, but
You never know.
No, it's like when the police went to him, it's like, because he smiled.
yeah, he's like,
Excited.
"You guys found my tapes?"
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Found
yeah,
my
we did.
tapes. I hope you enjoyed them.
Yeah, fucking psychopath.
The calmness is always the worst part.
Ugh.
He was arrested on the spot, charged with kidnapping, assault, and suspicion of multiple murders. During questioning, he showed little emotion. No remorse, just curiosity, asking which details they'd figured out, and how they traced the letters to him.
Because you weren't smart like you thought
I
you
was
were.
about ready to say, because you're not fucking smart, dude.
Well, like Albert Fish. Freaking wrote that letter and then dumbass made it, they tracked his lettering,
I mean-
letterhead.
Because they're fucking stupid.
And you said this is in 2000s. Like, yeah, the internet wasn't what we have today, but it was still around, and
Yeah.
it has a watermark.
Yep.
No matter what you're using as a device, it has a track back.
Or like a... Oh, fuck. Who was... I am totally blind. We talked... Who was it with the flash disc? Oh, BTK.
Mm-hmm. He sent him a fucking
And he's like,
disc.
you won't be able
Floppy
to...
disk.
Floppy disk.
Yeah, they said you won't be able to trace he asked them and then sent it to him.
Again.
That's why this guy reminds me of a mix of
These guys aren't that smart like
Jack
they
the
think.
Ripper.
Officer, I just need to know one question. Can you track a floppy disk? No, you can't? Okay.
I mean, Ed was insane, but at least he turned himself in before shit got pushed this far.
Yeah.
6 people was more than enough, but it could have went a lot farther, because if he wouldn't have turned himself in, I believe he probably could have still been free to this day. He was very calculated, very manipulating, and even the people who caught him still didn't believe it was him.
And then, like, these people with, like, him with his video footage, and Jeffrey Dahmer took photos and kept them, and
David Parker Ray.
David Parker. David Parker.
If you ever notice it, that's like the number one thing is serial killers always keep something of their victims.
And didn't
Little
Ted Bundy
gold
keep
necklaces.
something? Like, jewel, like...
I think Ted Bundy did.
Yeah, like
They all
glasses, and he had a little
women's-
bit of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Game kept it all. Geen kept everything.
Yeah, he was like, I'm keeping everything to the bones.
And he used them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fucked up.
He really liked them bones.
We didn't waste anything.
No, but at least we know what was wrong with him.
Yeah. Investigators placed him in the St. Louis County Jail under suicide watch. He faced the possibility of the death penalty. For 9 days, he barely spoke. No cooperation, no confession, just silence.
Then, on June 10th, guards found him hanging from a bedsheet tied to the ventilation grate above his bunk. He'd left a short note written in pencil. I can't take this anymore. I'd rather die than face execution. No apology, no closure, just cowardice dressed as control.
Wait a minute. Anytime I've ever seen this with serial killers, that when they go into prison, there's always like, I'd much rather die than face execution. You're gonna die anyway.
Exactly.
Well, he's a man of control, so he wants to control how he goes out. That
I'm
was
like-
all about.
And he's a pussy.
Well, just some of them in general that end up going in that are like, oh, I'm just gonna take my life before they can do it.
But I'm like, you're dumbass because you know what was gonna happen
Well,
if you
and it's
got
like-
caught.
No justice, no
It's like
peace.
he could have been on death row for 10 years. He could have had 10 years in prison.
But that's a whole nother thing. That's way too long to keep those people there.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Especially
definitely.
someone who has all the evidence with him on there. Maybe just his voice. That should be enough to be firing squad right there.
Some called it an escape. Others said it was just justice. But for the families of the women he destroyed, it was neither. He took the answers with him and left the world to put their stories back together, one missing name at a time.
The basement was sealed, the tapes locked away in evidence, but investigators say the memory of that house never left them. One described it as a place where evil had manners, polite, patient, and completely without mercy.
Alright, if justice is measured by answers, how do you find peace when the truth dies with the monster who created it?
Well, like we said earlier, he's a pussy.
Yep.
No justice, no peace.
Because he knew exactly how many women. Like, we don't know. Could have had...
He's a pussy with a capital P.
And I feel like his answer would have been, because I could.
Yep. He would have been like John Wayne Gacy, I guarantee it. Especially since John Wayne Gacy was like, I'm gonna look into the audience of all the people that, the family members that I killed, and tell them to kiss my ass. I have a feeling this is what this guy would have done.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He would have been like, kiss my ass, I fucking don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It just baffles me because if he was that polite, kind, and people trusted him, he could have gone farther up the ladder, and he took a whole nother direction and started murdering people.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think of, like, how many kids he's been around that he would probably do that to, unless he had some type of morality and was like, I won't do this to children, but I'll do it to adults.
Street workers.
Yeah. Well, I also heard he was also a pretty bad drug addict at one point. There's also been reports that he hurt and killed animals.
Oh, that piece of shit.
Says he specifically mentioned he began by torturing animals as a teen and eventually killed a neighbor's dog.
Firing squad.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
Like an asshole. Poor dog.
I mean, he should have got the firing squad for the people. But no matter, just with the animal.
I understand they want answers, but my feeling with people like this is he's not going to give you the answers you want, and if he did, you're not going to like him.
Just
Exactly.
like those other, you hear all the time, like people on their deathbeds, they still don't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just take it to the grave with them. It's fucked up. I'm like, you're dying anyways. Just tell us the
give it up.
truth.
Just fucking give it up.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Exactly.
It's not like you're gonna have much time left anyway. Like,
Right?
fuck it. Just say it.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell everyone what you did.
Oh, that's the part I pisses me. I just feel like they just use it as a game and for power. Yeah. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
He has the choice, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna tell you nothing.
Yeah.
What?
No. He's just like, you can try all you want, but
Fucking asshole.
ain't nothing coming out of these lips.
Well, I mean, he did what Kemper did too. When he got arrested, he used all of his knowledge in there to manipulate those as well.
Yeah.
So that they could trust him too. And once again, I don't know if he served his full sentence, but he ended up back on the streets to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one was just for like sexual assault, but that's still enough to hold you for a term. No, you did good in prison, so we're gonna let you out.
Talking about Gacy?
No, this guy, because he went to prison for sexual assault for a time. And they let him
I was
out.
thinking of that's what happened
Well, that's what-
with Gacy. So
Yes, exactly. And Kemper, remember he got arrested
Yeah.
for something.
Oh yeah, and he.
Wasn't it killing his grandparents? Did he go
Yes, and he went to that hospital.
And there he learned how to manipulate
Yep.
people better because they taught him. He listened
And
to
he
the way
got
they
out
taught
earlier too.
him. Way earlier.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah. After Maury Travis died, his mother, Sandra, inherited the house on Ford Drive. She scrubbed the walls, repainted the basement, and rented it out. To her, it was just a home again, an address she wanted to forget, but some places don't forget so easily.
The next tenant, Katrina McGaw, moved in about a year later. She didn't know what had happened there. Not until the neighbors told her. They said, "You're living in a serial killer's house." At first, she thought it was a cruel joke. Then her dog began barking at the basement door and refused to go downstairs. As soon as the dog starts barking at that's your
Amityville, I would have never walked through that front door.
yeah.
Have you
My
seen
dog's
your
that?
not
first
going,
clue.
I'm not going.
I was looking at the inside of the house, and it's just eerie. Seeing the basement all painted.
Like that is anytime there's an animal involved and it just starts barking or meowing at something random in a corner,
Yeah.
that should be a sign for you.
Like, they know something.
Like, what the fuck are you barking at? Is that fucking Tommy over there?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Trying to find the house. I can't find it now. 1001.
It's like he painted that floor 20-something times to cover up blood.
Well, the paint on the walls, too. It's funny.
Dude's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
When she finally went down herself, she saw the signs. Patches in the concrete, small filled holes where a chair had once been bolted. According to investigators, the basement had been Travis's torture chamber. the room where he filmed the terror he created. But upstairs held its own secrets. Katrina later learned the dining room table her landlord had given her was the same one pictured in the crime scene photographs from the investigation, the same table detectives had documented while searching the home.
She said she couldn't eat there again, that even sitting beside it made her stomach twist. Soon the whispers, the unease, the sleepless nights grew too heavy. She ended her lease early, telling reporters, "I just can't live here knowing that."
But leaving wasn't easy. According to interviews, Katrina said her landlord, Maury Travis, at first refused to let her break the lease, insisting the house had been cleaned and blessed, that there was nothing left of what her son had done. Katrina offered to forfeit her deposit just to escape. She told Fox reporters, "I didn't care about the money, I just needed out." It took weeks before she was finally allowed to go, and when she handed back the keys, she said she couldn't bring herself to look back at the house. They say evil leaves fingerprints you can't scrub out. And on Ford Drive, it left them in the floorboards, in the paint, and maybe even in the furniture that refused to forget.
Maybe it isn't haunted by ghosts at all, but by the memory of what people ignored, and the silence that let it happen.
When you strip away the headlines, Maury Travis wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was a coward obsessed with control. A man who used fear like a mirror, hoping power could hide the emptiness behind his eyes. And in the end, it was the same ego that needed to be seen that exposed him. He mailed his own downfall, one stamp at a time.
But the horror isn't just what he did. It's how easily he was ignored until he wanted attention. Most of his victims were women society had already stopped looking for. And maybe that's the truest haunting of all. Not the ghosts that linger in the basements, but the ones made invisible while they were still alive.
The house on Ford Drive still stands. Repainted, rented, normal on the outside. But maybe that's why the story matters. Because evil rarely announces itself with thunder. It smiles, it waves from the driveway, it waters the lawn, and it hides in plain sight until someone finally dares to open the door.
Maybe the real haunting isn't in the house, but in how easily a life can vanish without the world ever noticing.
And maybe those who are lost are still speaking, not through voices or knocks on the walls, but through the people who keep searching for their names, refusing to let them be forgotten.
It's just so sad how it takes so long sometimes for these victims to be named.
Yeah.
Well, that they chose their life
awful.
mentality is what got them there, because yeah, they're street workers, but they're still human beings. Their choices in life shouldn't mean they're not a person.
No,
It's still someone's daughter that
Yeah.
went missing.
it's awful.
There's still people that have no idea where these girls are.
Well, look at all kinds of people's victims, or a lot of them aren't named yet. Like Gacy, I think there's 3 left that need to be named.
Yep.
Three of the last 4.
Awful. We tell these stories so the silence doesn't win, because even in the darkest rooms, there's always someone listening. And sometimes, that's all a spirit needs to be free. And that concludes this episode of Veil of Echoes. Thank you for walking with us through the darkness of Maury Travis's story. A reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones who smile back. Every listen, follow, and review keeps our lantern burning and helps new listeners find their way through the veil. Follow Veil of Echoes podcast on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for haunting visuals, behind-the-scene moments, and hints of the stories waiting just beyond the dark.
This Friday, the cold wind moves from Missouri to the rural mountains of Russia. A tent ripped open from the inside. 9 hikers lost to an unknown compelling force. Was it nature, panic, or something the mountains refused to let go? The Dalatov Pass incident, a mystery buried in ice and fear.
The answers were frozen with them, and the snow still hasn't given them back.
Until then, keep your ears open.
And the veil closed.